Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Rate of Terror Radio, episode 630, coming to you on Monday, November 4th. We're going to look back at USC's 21-17 win over the Nebraska Cornhuskers. We're going to talk about it, open up the mailbag, and so much more. As always, you can follow us on social media at Rant of Troy. Email us, rantoftroyfansite.com, and our phone number, 818-643-7227, Second Whisper and Show. I'm your host, Michael Castillo, joined along with my co-host here in the Rant Troy studio in Los Angeles, Elisa Dertel.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. We are back. We spent the weekend in Vegas at a lovely wedding for your brother. It was fantastic.
Yes, congratulations to the happy couple. Yeah. It was a really fun. Yeah, it was a really fun wedding. I think you and I both enjoyed ourselves. Yeah.
Probably the most enjoyable wedding I've ever been to.
It was pretty.
It was great.
It was pretty chill. It was kind of a smallish, but not super small wedding because both of them come from big families. So, like, it was small for like our families. Sure. And so it was kind of like intimate, and it was just kind of good food, good dancing.
The king may have been there.
Who?
The king.
The king? Yes, the king.
The king.
The king. The king may
there.
have officiated.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The ceremony. There was sports related drama that we may or may not get into.
we watched the SC game from a sports book at the same time that Game 7 was going on.
That was wild.
Yeah. Great weekend for me in terms of sports with everything except for Game 7.
Yeah, well, your Jags won in overtime.
Jags won in overtime in Vegas.
You didn't watch that game, but
I watched like the first half.
Okay.
I watched the first half. Chelsea wins. It's a great week.
Liverpool won on Saturday.
There you go.
Liverpool and USC winning on the same day is a rare feat. So
look at that.
Sports were good to us.
Yeah. Anyways, we are back a day late from normal because of that. We talked about it last week that this might be a combo episode. We lied. We're going to still come back tomorrow, Wednesday, on the normal day to preview SC and Northwestern. It's going to be a little bit of a late preview in the sense that it's a Friday night game this week. It's a short week. SC plays Northwestern on Friday night. So the preview still dropping normally on Wednesday, but Friday night is USC and Northwestern. So we'll preview that tomorrow, Wednesday, 4 p.m. Pacific. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, today probably. We're live today, 4 p.m. Pacific on YouTube. So come join us there as well. Alicia, let's just get into the news. Let's just do that because we got a little bit of it, but we got a lot to talk to other than that. All right, we start new game time announced for USC's homecoming game against the Iowa Hawkeyes next Saturday. What is it, the 15th? Yeah, the 15th. Saturday the 15th. SC will host Iowa at 12:30. I believe it's CBS or something else.
It's CBS or Big Ten Network, and I do not know what determines that. Mm-hmm. We just know that it is in fact at 12:30.
I have a hard time imagining that it won't be on CBS.
Maybe it has to do with what Iowa does. Is Iowa active? No, Iowa's on a bye. So
hold on. I'm pulling up the.
Or no. Northwestern's coming off a bye.
I'm pulling up the schedule.
Like if both Iowa and USC lose this weekend, then you shunt that over to Big Ten Network, right?
Probably. But okay. What are the other games? We should have prepped. What are the other game? It could be is Penn State, Michigan State, right? That's the only other game that doesn't have a TV spot, 100%. So it's Penn State or Michigan State. There is no world that Penn State, Michigan State should be the CBS game over SC Iowa. I'm sorry. Let's just ink it in. It's SC Iowa on CBS. Why would Penn State, Michigan State be on CBS? Neither of those teams have a conference win.
I mean,
The only reason,
I don't know what governs the way that the TV deals do their thing.
The only thing that I could imagine is I know that the SEC had this where there was a limited number of times you could be on CBS. If SC is already up against that number and they can only have one more for the remaining part of the season, maybe CBS is like, hey, we want to save SC for the Oregon game. That might be a reason. I don't know. Either way, Walter in the chat says Iowa plays Oregon this week. Yeah. Tough couple of weeks.
That's right. If Iowa beats Oregon and USC beats Northwestern, there is zero chance that game's not on CBS.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Either way, it's Brad Nessler on the call. I'm already feeling it. All right, let's go to the polls. SC up to number 20 in the AP, 21 in the coaches. The college football playoff rankings drop tonight. Do we know what time that is?
I think it might be happening right now.
Okay. Well, we'll keep an eye on it.
But you know what, though? They do that thing where they
take forever.
It starts, and then they don't release it until later. I actually have the information here, so you can go on, and then I'll fill you in.
Okay.
It's at 8 p.m. Eastern, so it's in an hour.
Okay. If we're still live, we will. So we'll pop that in. Yeah.
If we're still live, we will probably be reacting to that live on air.
Yeah. Okay. SC 20th in the AP poll, 21 in the coaches poll. FEI, SC up to number 13 as a team. Interesting thing, the offense. SC no longer the number one offense in the country. Dropped from number one down to number 6.
Yeah, that's deserved, though.
Yeah.
I don't know that anybody can argue after the performance that Jaden Mayava put in.
We'll talk about it in a couple minutes. Jeff Sagarin has the Trojans at 16th. The SP Plus has SC at number 12. So that's where the polls are picking USC. But Alicia, you can get involved with the picking over at Underdog Fantasy, my favorite place to do picking. Football season, of course, coming into the stretch run. It's November, baby. This is the big month. This is when champions are made. This is when you got to get your picks right and flex your ball knowledge. You can do that over at Underdog. Simply pick whether a player will go higher or lower than their stat projections, and you can win up to 5,000 times your money. It's all about using your ball knowledge. Mix and match with different players on different teams, even different sports. This week on Underdog, I'm looking at those Thursday night games. Going lower, 9.5 Geno Smith rushing yards, but higher, 70.5 J.K. Dobbins rushing yards. You can, of course, join me over at Underdog. Make your picks. Get involved. See how much you know about your picks. Join me. Start making the picks and download the app today. Set up with promo code Reign of Troy to score $100 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code Reign of Troy, all one word. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog, make picks, win money. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama, Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit ncpgambling.org. New York, call the 24/7 HOPEline at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY to 467-369. All right. Alicia, let's talk about more USC football, shall we? That was good. Speedy.
Very. I was impressed.
Yeah.
I was overwhelmed. Yeah.
I rolled through that just like King Miller rolled through the Nebraska defensive line.
Well done.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to the game. You and I talked about it. We watched it from a sports book on a smallish TV because there was some baseball game happening that had to be on the big screen.
Yeah, it was not an ideal way to watch the game, but also it was the ideal way to watch the game. I had a thought while we were there.
Wait, It's not ideal to have a $32 beer when you watch a game?
No. Well, Michael, this is why I got the bottomless mimosas.
That's fair.
I literally looked at the menu and saw bottomless mimosas for $45 and thought, we're going to be here for a few hours. The cost of a beer is like $15. So if I order 2 beers, I'm almost up at the 45 bottomless mimosas. So I'm like, screw it. We're getting bottomless mimosas, which is why it was the ideal place to watch the game. Even though in hindsight, we probably should have watched the game in our room, like with our TV dedicated to it with sound.
Sure.
But instead we went to the sports bar, and I was very glad of it because I may have been going through it. And I needed those bottomless mimosas, and I needed that crowd of Dodgers fans and Blue Jays fans sort of breaking up the monotony.
There were a bunch of Blue Jays fans. Yeah,
there were a bunch. So it was a good time. It was a good time.
Feel for them.
The game itself was
pained for them.
Was a thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me your thoughts.
My thoughts. Oh, right, because
we didn't have a car cast.
We didn't have a car cast. Yeah. If you wanted to, if you want to experience my in the moment ish thoughts, I did make a 5-minute TikTok with my like immediate reaction. So we've obviously had a few days to digest a little bit, to think things back over, and I think I come away still feeling more or less the way that I did, in that, you know, the positive side of me, the optimist Alicia, says that a win is a win under any circumstances, especially when you're on the road. And given that USC has had a really hard time winning road games, especially the close road games, them just getting over that hump in this game is a huge step in the right direction. So clearly USC figured out some way to adjust themselves to, end up being on the winning side of the game, and they deserve credit for that. And there are specific players who absolutely deserve huge credit that I want to shout out, like King Miller, who continues to look anything but a walk-on, let alone a redshirt freshman walk-on. He is fantastic, and USC is blessed to have him, and to have him be available after losing players of Waymo and Eli Sanders' caliber. In this game, I think he reiterated to me that the Notre Dame performance was not about King Miller. It was about USC's offensive line, and going up against a defense that we highlighted was, vulnerable against the run. We saw that follow through, that USC was able to run very, very effectively with King Miller. I love the way that King hits the hole and just gets downfield. I tweeted that, like, my new favorite thing to say in sports is like, go on King, because like every time if there's a hole there, you're going to be able to say it a couple times. Like, he's going to hit the hole, and then it's like, go on King, and he's just going to go 10 yards. It's just, he just attacks the defense in such a satisfying way. I do not know how this kid didn't end up with scholarship offers. I do not know how this kid ended up in this position at USC. I'm very grateful that he did, but like, what a diamond in the rough for USC to come through as a walk-on. He is effectively saving USC season if you think about it. If you think of what a catastrophe it could have been to have lost the top 2 options, and knowing that, we like Harry Dalton and Brian Jackson, but neither of them are as I think just simply effective as King Miller is. So he was fantastic. His brother, Kalon Miller, gets thrown into the game because Alani Noah gets injured very, very early in the game. And again, it speaks to, this is a walk-on redshirt freshman who none of us knew his name until the summer. And even then, in the summer, when we talked about Kalon Miller, with all due respect, we talked about it being a bad sign that the redshirt freshman walk-on was pushing the presumptive, established starter for a job. And instead, he continues to prove every time he gets an opportunity that that was about his quality more than anything else. And he came in, didn't skip a beat, was great. One of the first runs that King had after Kalon came in was, him running directly behind his brother. Just so satisfying. Like, just these little things that make it fun to watch football. There's a lot of things that make it not fun to watch football, but like the King and Kalon Miller story is absolutely just a wonderful turn of events for USC. And then, you got to talk about USC's defense, who I thought really stepped up in this game. They are still clearly vulnerable in the ways that they're vulnerable, but for the first time, USC, I think, wins close on the road because for the first time, USC's defense gets the stops that they need in the end. This transitions me a little bit to the more like pessimistic, potentially negative Alicia, who worries that the outcome of this game had more to do with Nebraska's shortcomings than USC's strengths. Pessimistic Alicia is out in full force. USC made the plays that got them the victory. I'm not taking anything away from USC. USC being able to find a way to win, to win a game where Jaden Mayava was, hold on, I need to get his exact stats because holy hell was this bad. 9 of 23. He was 9 of 23 for 135 yards. That is not the Jaden Mayava that we have like come to know. This was a horrific performance from USC's quarterback, and for USC to win a game that he was that bad in bodes very well for USC. Being able to lean on the run game that they did, being able to lean on the defense the way that they did. What worries me is that, like, if Dylan Raiola had not gotten injured, if Nebraska wasn't Nebraska, and when I say that, I mean, like, if Nebraska wasn't the kind of team that has a clear fourth down conversion sitting right in front of them and the running back trips on the quarterback's knee as he's handed the ball and drops to the floor, and that's that. Like, if Nebraska wasn't Nebraska, what would the outcome of this game have been? It was like, we came into this game going like the immovable force meets stoppable object of USC and Nebraska is just like dysfunction. And I'm not sure that, like, I worry that Nebraska has a lot to do with what happened here. I worry that the injury to Dylan Raiola has a lot to do with USC's defensive performance. Emmett Johnson still gets 166 yards, still has 5.7 yards per carry. If USC did a better job against the run in the second half. I know I'm rambling so hard, Michael. I'm sorry. USC did a better job defensively in the second half against the run. How much of that is knowing that TJ Lateef is not a passing threat and that they could just, stack the box in the same way that USC's most effective defensive performance before this was Michigan, another one with against a team that didn't have a quarterback who USC felt could really, attack them. So there's still a lot of questions I have about USC after this performance. I don't know that it answers my worries about where this team's ceiling, like where they run up against their ceiling. But I will say, USC has lost this game and worse games than this in the past, and they've been playing some pretty crappy teams while losing those games too. So, I am willing to take it. I'm not going to like treat this as the end all be all performance. It's just, I'm very torn. I'm very torn as to whether like, actually, no, I'm not torn. This is the last thing I'll say. I'm not torn. I feel very strongly that a win is a win and USC can move on from this, but I'm also not buying into this as any sort of evidence that any of USC's that any of the pitfalls that I worry USC could fall into for the rest of the season are suddenly like papered over,
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think there were some wise words from Tim in LA on Discord who said, if we get mad when the luck goes against us, I think it's fine to be happy when the dumb luck goes our way.
Yeah.
Obviously excluding injuries. That sucks for Raiola majorly. Yeah. Like, I look at it like in the sense of like this was I have like a list here of notes that I could sort of go over of like good stuff and bad stuff, right? And there were so many of both of those things in this game. There's been a lot of those things in games, and SC has lost every single one of them. On the road, in close games. We got a text message from Graham about SC winning the Central Time Zone. When was the last time that happened?
Colorado?
Right off the dome? No, that's the mountain.
Okay.
Off the dome, I think the last one is Nebraska in 2007, is it not? Minnesota 2010.
Is Minnesota in the Central Time Zone?
Yes.
Okay. So Minnesota
2010.
That's still pretty. That's a long.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair,
SC
USC
won that
doesn't
game, right?
play in the Central very often, but when they
there's
do,
not a lot of options there.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's Illinois this past year was in the Central Time Zone. There's not a lot of games there, but all those games in Texas.
Well, we don't talk about Texas, Michael.
That's fair. That is fair. But I go back to the thing of like, I had, what was it, a week or two ago, I had that long list of all the road games that SC has played under Lincoln Riley, true road games out of state. And every single time there's something. There's, you give up a kick return after you give up the lead. There's, you can't stop, or you get a stop on 4th and inches and it's overturned by video review, or there's always something. And like this game, the somethings went SC's way. And at some point, you just got to say, when you're so starved for a road win, when, SC is in a position where they have not finished off these games, even if you get the help of Dylan Raiola not being there and Nebraska's offense being broken and stumbles in the backfield and all that kind of stuff, like, you take it. I don't want to go all Clay Helton on everybody, but like, SC still controls their own destiny, not in terms of the conference, but in terms of like going to the playoff. As long as you keep that
Playoff? You want to talk about playoff?
Do you think they don't?
No, you're right. It's absolutely true. It's just also crazy.
If they
I mean, okay,
beat Oregon and they're 10-2, they're in the playoff.
Yeah, let's be honest. If USC's 10-2, they're in the playoff.
Yes.
But that requires USC to beat Oregon, which
right.
I think
this
neither
game,
of us are going to say this game indicates that USC can do that.
There was nothing in this game that told me that SC is going to go into Eugene and win.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's a lot of stuff in this game that makes me think that SC is going to not be able to hold serve at home against Northwestern and Iowa and UCLA.
I think this
strictly
game,
because SC plays better at home. And all that kind of stuff.
And like the closest facsimile for this game could end up being, if you take the home road split away, is like the Iowa question, right? Because they got a really good defense, but their offense is wonky. Like Iowa's offense is Nebraska's offense without Dylan Raiola. So like USC has now proven they can win a game against an offense that isn't all that good, because their defense isn't catastrophically bad against a bad offense. Like, so I do think this game indicates that USC's defense has a pulse. So that's good. Yeah.
And like there was a discussion on Discord. Our friend Trinice was talking about like, was this a real comeback? Like the questions about that. I think Jessica said that she missed the game, but like was wondering like, was this like a Valiant kind of thing? And it's like, I could understand, or like, was this SC finally proving on the road that they can win one of these close games? And like, I totally get why you look at the box score and could take that from it. And it wasn't not that, but it also wasn't that. You know, like all these things are there, and I sound like a crazy person talking here, but like SC had a valiant comeback in this game. They also nearly gave it away by not salting away. Like, I think the feelings of this game are so much better. Did it feel
like a valiant comeback? Like, did it feel like
No.
It didn't feel like a comeback to me.
No, but it was. But
it didn't feel like, USC, like, turned the ship around or anything like that.
Yeah, I also think that, like, I think there's a complete different sentiment to the game also. And maybe this is silly and splitting hairs because really it doesn't... We talked about before, you just needed to get a win, and they got the win, and that's the most important thing. But, like, if they go on that last drive and they salt the game away with a 7-minute drive and they score with a minute left or whatever, even if they don't score, but they take it all the way to the goal line, take knees, I think the feeling of the game is different.
I agree.
If you score on that last drive with a minute to go...
If Jaden Mayava is... If
Harry Dalton walks into the end zone...
If we get SRS Distribution Las Vegas Bowl, Jaden Mayava, in terms of the full spectrum of that, where he's absolutely miserable for the most of the game, and then on the last drive that he has the ball, he is peak Jaden Mayava.
He's everything you wanted him to be. Yeah.
But that's not what it was.
And on top of that, they run the ball and they kill the clock, and they end up covering and they win this game 28-17. I think we can sit here and say, like, they showed a hell of a lot of maturity. The game got weird. They certainly got their advantages with Raiola not being there. But they did what they needed to do. They took care of business, and that's what good teams do. And for the most part, that was still the case. But, like, because, like, I think about it on defense. Like, the defensive performance in this game is so hard to understand. Because they get stops. In the second half, like, they're pretty good. Like,
they give up a field goal in the second half, and that's it.
Yeah. I was looking at the numbers to see, like...
And it's not just that Dylan Raiola went down, because even before he went down, Nebraska's offense wasn't really taken off.
Yeah, you look at Nebraska's first 3 drives. They have 2 75-yard touchdown drives in there. From there to the rest of the game, there's one play in the end of the half that was nothing. Punt for 7, fumble gained 1 yard, field goal attempt they gained 20 yards, field goal make 57, punt for 13, and the last drive of the game with 23 yards. So, like, yes, Dylan Raiola went out, but also they didn't let them rally when they needed to. Nebraska was very dysfunctional on offense without him, very one-dimensional. And I was looking to see, like, what is Emmett Johnson's numbers when Raiola went out, like, when it was clearly obvious that he was basically going to be their only source of offense after Raiola was out. And he doesn't really change. Like, 5 yards, 5, 6, 6, 1, 23, 8, 13, 4, 5, 0. So he was just as good after as he was before. But SC was getting the stops. And I think that, like, this is the sign of how the bend don't break defense can work, in the sense of, like, if your only way for gaining yardage, if you're Nebraska, is with Emmett Johnson and nothing else, well, then he's going to have to go for 10, 15, 20 on a consistent basis to score touchdowns.
Well, and also, like, I think that you had USC's offense make some timely stops in the run. Like, I don't think they ever really shut down Emmett Johnson, but they get the third down stop on that first drive to start the third quarter on a third and short. They don't get the fourth down stop, if we're being honest. But, like, they do. There were a couple
I need to rewatch it. I don't know that it's close, at least.
I think he was going to easily get it personally, but I think that there were more runs.
It's not a 20-yard gain.
No, absolutely not. And I think that there were more runs in the second half where it's like a short, like a 1 yard gain. hold them to 0, or, they're still giving up the 8-yard gain, but like they're getting more of those short stops, which then put Nebraska into down and distance they're not comfortable in.
Yeah.
Especially with the quarterback change.
And I think it helps that you look at TJ Lateef, feel bad for the dude. Awful situation for him to be in. True freshman, coming in out of nowhere. No expectations for him to play this season, right? Like, awful spot to be in. At home, blackout game, ranked opponent, like all the things. And he's got to lead a comeback on the last drive. He was 5 of 7, and 5 of 7 isn't terrible until you realize that the 5 of 7 gained 1, 11, -5, 1, and -1 yard. They did not. One of his passes went for a first down. So, like, they were just so one-dimensional. SC took so much advantage of that. I did mention my list of good and bad stuff. Let me run through this stuff because there are good things. I'm going to get to the good things. This isn't just a bit sesh. There's a lot of good things to get to. I start with the bad stuff just so you can end on a sweet note here. I thought this was a horrific game from Jade Mayava. It was SRS distribution, Las Vegas Bowl. Mayava, like we talked about, he was awful. A month ago, I think people could have talked about his chances of potentially going to New York. Not winning the Heisman per se, but like being in the discussion.
He would have absolutely been in the discussion if he kept on going the way he had been.
Yeah, that is 1,000% not happening, and nor should it happen. I also think that Mekhi Lemon's chances of winning the Biletnikoff completely toast. He has been completely shut down the last 2 weeks. Completely toast. And I think there's two things that are true here. On the one hand, Nebraska's pass defense, I think, is really, really good. I think Notre Dame's Leonard Moore at corner, really, really good. And so, this isn't all, on Mekhi Lemon or anything, but, when you're in a tough spot, you need to limit your mistakes and be as mature as you can be with the football. And sometimes you got to be conservative. Sometimes you got to take the sack. Sometimes you got to throw the ball away. You got to make the smart plays. And that's where I think Jade Mayava, there's a difference between just being shut down and then being detrimental to your performance. And Nebraska shut SC's passing game down. But Mayava didn't help it by being I thought the target sometimes where he was taking the more difficult throw. They were trying to throw downfield to SC's 3rd and 4th receivers, Richardson and to Nick Hines. And Nick Hines looked good in this game. Richardson had his moments, had one great catch for 43 yards. But the play where he's going to get sacked and he just throws it, he tries to put it out there and it's a fumble. Another one where he rushes a throw and it's intentional grounding. And we had the talk on Discord of there was a running back there. I feel like I don't know what intentional grounding is anymore. I guess
I don't know what any of the rules are, to be quite honest, because
I know that in the intentional grounding, you have to get it to the line of scrimmage. But, when you're in the tackle box and a running back is in the back, can you just not throw it at their feet? I don't know. Either way, it's just take the sack. Don't risk the fumble. Don't risk the catastrophe. And Mayava was not making it better on himself. He was 9 of 23 for 135 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception, passer rating of 79.7. That was lower than TJ Lateef, which is wild. Wild. It was absolutely shade to the 2024 SRS Distribution Las Vegas Bowl. And I love to say that SC, when Mayava has been at his worst, is undefeated. 2-0. 2-0, both times having comeback wins in the fourth quarter. In part because in the Las Vegas Bowl against A&M, he was nails in the fourth quarter, 11 of 14 for 137 yards, a couple of touchdowns. Did throw probably his worst interception at the beginning of the fourth quarter, but like he was great in the fourth quarter, right? Horrible through the first three quarters. In this game, things get changed up because when things really go to hell in the passing game, Lincoln Riley not only like runs the ball more, but there is a change in how the running game is used, and Mayava's used more in the run game. That we're going to talk about that in the good part. So hold on to that. Last thing I want to mention with the bad stuff column here is play calling. Early in the game, in the first quarter, it's like a 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5. Swinging gate. What are we doing? The swinging gate stuff, save that for a 2-point conversion. A 4th and 1. Like a 3rd and 1. A 3rd and 5. Run your offense, dude. Like, throw a curl, a slant. Like,
there are so many things USC does effectively.
SC is so good at just running their offense. You don't need to overcomplicate it on a 3rd and 5 in the first quarter. What are we doing here? It's crazy to me. And then we have to talk about the first scoring drive, which SC gets 3 points. Starts off to be a beautiful drive. SC's incomplete, 1st and 10. There's a 9-yard pass to Jacoby Lane on 2nd and 10. Third and 1, they give it to King Miller. Gains 5, beautiful. 3rd down conversion, wonderful. Next play, 1st and 10, 16 yards to Mekhi Lemon. They finally get him open. Things are moving. SC's moving in positive territory the whole bit. The next 3 plays, all on 1st and 10. 15-yard run by King Miller. 13-yard run by King Miller. 16-yard run by King Miller, creating a 1st and goal at the 7. Goal line fade to Jacoby Lane. Incomplete. 2nd down. Play action pass. Thrown to Jaden Richardson. Incomplete. Now it's 3rd and goal. Now you're in a passing situation. Now you kind of got to throw on 3rd and goal. And Mayava scrambles. I think there's a world in which maybe if he scrambled a little bit earlier, he could have gotten to the end zone. But he gets down to the 2. Sets up a 4th and 2. They decide to go for it. It's from a wide angle. Hard to kick from there. And Tobias Raymond jumps for a false start, and now it's a 4th and goal from the 7 again, and they just kick a 24-yard field goal. And it's like, the problem with it for me is not that you threw the ball 3 times, because that's just like, yes, but it's the how, right? Like, it's like the integration and the sequencing of that drive just doesn't make any sense. And it's the fade. It's the goal line fade.
Freaking goal line fade.
Jacoby Lane, S-tier guy in the aerial battles. He's up there with Mike Williams, Michael Pittman, Drake London in terms of dudes that you want to go up and get the ball. I get it. If you're going to throw a goal line fade, Jacoby Lane's the dude I want you to throw it to. But this is an offense that is predicated on succeeding with putting defenders in conflict, creating space, making it easier on your quarterback, easier on your playmakers, and it's all math, right? It's all simple, like go where the numbers are and do all these things. A goal line fade is the antithesis of that. Like, go up and just win this one-on-one battle, man versus man, like, is not what the offense is.
When it's good.
When it's good. And so you do, and it's a low percentage play just in general compared to other options that you have. And so then it's incomplete. Now you've got a 2nd and goal from the 7, and they run the play action. I think a play action call is great from this spot on 1st down.
after you've just gashed them with your run game.
Yes. You just had 3 runs of 15, 13, and 16 yards. Now you're at the 7. The field is compressed. They're going to probably assume you're going to run, but even if not, they're going to, whatever it is. A play action pass is a good option. This is the quintessential, you've set up the play action pass kind of moment. But they run it on second down when it should have been on first down. If it is an incomplete pass on first down, well, then you've got second and goal from the 7, and you can run and do whatever then. But no, they save it for second down. It's incomplete. So now you've got third and goal from the 7. You've got to throw it third and goal from the 7. And so now you end up with a situation where you ran for 15, 13, and 16 yards with King Miller, and you have to throw 3 times in a row from the 7.
Mm-hmm.
For little to no reason here.
Well, and even we say like on 3rd and 7 they have to throw. I agree with you philosophically, but also they're proven that maybe that isn't the case in the 4th quarter when USC scores the winning touchdown on 1st and goal from the 6.
Yeah.
After the first play they get in goal to go is a run that gets quite easily to the end zone as like a proof of concept that, maybe you should just keep handing the ball off.
Mm-hmm. I think the reason I say I think you got to throw there is that, like, if you gain 1 yard,
it's not
and it's 4th and goal from the 6, I think that's a kick situation.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree. I think if I'm calling these plays and
basically there's no crime in throwing on 3rd and goal from the 7.
No, third and goal from the 6 or the 7. I am passing it. But I agree with you. Like, considering how well you had been running the ball, you should at least one of those 2, first or second down, you should be handing the ball off. Just because of how effective you'd been on the ground, just because of how ineffective Nebraska's run defense has been, not just in this game, but all season, that this is their weakness. I agree with you. The play action on first down would have been perfect because Nebraska knows what their weakness is. Nebraska's going to be thinking, like, we need to shore up against the run, and then you can maybe get them off guard. And you go from there. But I agree. It's just
even if you do throw the goal line fade on first down,
then
to me you've ridden yourself of the opportunity to play action at that point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like obviously the other thing is, like, you can't even say, well, but RPOs in this situation, goal line fade is, unless it's a pre-snap read, that's not an RPO. I don't.
And maybe it was too early in the game. We're talking, this is the first drive, right? Maybe it's too early in the game for them to recognize that Nebraska's DBs had USC absolutely cooked.
Yeah.
So, maybe you try that goal line fade thinking that, it's our guy against their guy and our guy's going to win.
Mm-hmm.
And you hadn't figured out yet that for most of this game, your guys are not going to win.
Yeah.
And so you're being just like that. But even outside of that context, I hate the goal line fade.
Yeah, I hate it too, because
when I like the goal line fade, to be honest, is later in the set of downs, because on first down,
because you're
free
rolling the dice on a potential PI kind of thing.
Exactly. On a third down goal line fade, I don't necessarily love it, but when you're in like a third and goal from the 6 or 7, you're sort of in this like and long to go, kind of in a weird position. I get you don't really have a lot of great plays to get that to get you to the end zone.
Sure.
A goal line fade where you're banking on a PI, like it's not a terrible strategy. I'm not a fan of goal line fades in general, but like I can see the logic there. A first down goal line fade drives me crazy.
Yeah. And I'm someone who thinks that you can take chances on first down. So like I'm willing to give grace about the first down if you just run the ball on second down. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You've lost your opportunity with the play action by trying the fade instead. You gotta run the ball at some point there. I'm not gonna sit here and say you need to run the ball on every play. That's obviously not how it works. But anyways, let's get to the good stuff. The run game was fantastic, right? They took advantage of a bad Nebraska rush defense. And and they made them look like a bad Nebraska rush defense, and they made themselves look really good. SC had 10 chunk runs, 10 runs of 10-plus yards. SC is now averaging 6.8 chunk runs per game in Big Ten play. Number 1 in the conference in the Big Ten. The next best team is Indiana at 6.2. And I think the other thing that I want to mention here is that, like, Mayava being used in the run game, fantastic. SC is extreme cherry pick stat here. 3-0 all time when Jaden Mayava gains 20-plus yards. Super cherry pick, but it works.
To be fair, what were those games?
It was, I don't have it off the top of my head. Oh,
well, what I'll say is that one of the things that is a positive about a quarterback like Jaden Mayava is that he has the running ability in him, and that when he's having as bad a passing game as he was in this game, being able to just say, screw it, I'm going to run, it can help a lot. It can help a lot when nothing is going right through the air. So, like, you know, I'll give him that he did at a certain point in this game figure out that if I'm not going to force it into double coverage this time. I'm not going to try to, like, take what isn't there, which is why his completion percentage in this game was as low as it was, because he kept throwing into double coverage. He kept throwing to covered guys because nobody was open, and it was just a mess. And later on in the game, he started tucking it and running more often. And, you know, like Mr. P in the chat says, why doesn't he run Mayava more? And this is a question that we've had. Mayava can run, but he doesn't look the most comfortable running. It's not like his first instinct, with which a quarterback is not necessarily a bad thing. That can be a really, some quarterbacks take off and run way too early, and you have to sort of train them out of that. Mayava, you almost have to, like, nudge him forward to go try to run. But when he does, he's pretty effective. And I think that we saw that in this game, that it makes up a lot for the passing of it all, that he gets 60 yards on the ground. Not every quarterback is able to do that in a game where they're not, if their arm isn't really working.
11 carries, 62 yards. And for me, it's not the scrambling, because Mayava just doesn't want to scramble. That's not what he wants to do. That's not what we've seen that he likes to do. It's the design stuff.
It's 8 carries for 83 yards because he's sacked 3 times. Yeah. And his net losses are 21.
And the long is 17, which means that it was continually decent gains from him, right? Like, we go back to last year's Nebraska game, right? In that game against Nebraska last year, we've talked about this last year. We talked about it earlier this year. The play calling in that Nebraska game was beautiful. There was that triple option jet sweep that they ran on a 4th and 1. That was beautiful. Where has that stuff been, right? Like, they just haven't done that. Mm-hmm. And there have been drives this year where they will run zone read like 3-4 times in a row, and then you never see it for the rest of the game. You never see it for 2-3 more weeks or whatever, right? Like, these are the things that I think it's very good that SC has that in the bag as a plan C when the pass game isn't working and when the run game only is working and you need something else. Like, Mayava doesn't have it in the passing game. He looks terrible throwing the ball. Well, yeah, like, give him another opportunity to make plays. My problem with it is that it shouldn't be plan C.
Yeah.
I think this should be included in the offense at large. I think more of these. I want to see more read option stuff. I want to see more options. I want to see more pitches, jet sweeps, like that kind of stuff. And it's hard to be nitpicky about SC's offense when they're so successful, but more so it's like, these are the things that I think make it easier on players in a lot of ways. And this game is a prime example. This is a game in which Maeva played super poorly. So I think good on Lincoln Riley for finding ways to make him have value in the game on a night in which he's not playing well, right?
Yeah, I agree. Like I think that you can mitigate some of the issues there. I think my bigger issue in general with the run game, with the Maeva of it all, is a complaint that I have about, Lincoln Riley, a complaint I've had about pretty much every USC offensive coordinator ever, because every USC offensive coordinator ever has been a former quarterback, and my theory is that, except for, no, it was a former quarterback too, T was. My theory is former quarterbacks are former quarterbacks, and they like the passing game, so they, insist on the passing game when oftentimes you should just be running the ball. And you and I were listening to the Solid Burville on the way home on the drive from Vegas, and they were talking about USC, I forget which of them credited USC for committing to the run.
Ty did.
Ty credited USC for
Dan
committing.
shut him down.
I'm with Dan. I disagree. I think that USC should have committed more to the run. I think that USC, yes, had 38 total carries in this game to 23 total attempts. But Jaden Maeva, most of those runs were not designed runs. A lot of them were a scramble and taking what was there, which means that Jaden Maeva was still the one with the ball in his hand, 30 plus, 35 plus times, and King Miller has the ball in his hand 18 times. I think that they should have traditionally run the ball more often. I will credit Maeva for getting what he gets and making the most of that, but I was frustrated by the number of dropbacks, even after it became very clear that, number one, USC's receivers had been absolutely shut down, and number two, Maeva couldn't hit them anyways because he was just completely flustered and inaccurate. To me,
it's a hard situation offensively.
Yeah.
When your quarterback doesn't have it, your wide receivers cannot get open, your only running back is a walk-on, and then a guy playing on turf toe, and then a true freshman who you don't really have a lot of trust in. Your top two running backs are out. Like, there's a lot of situations. Right, there's a lot of things that are tough here. And
I get that, but Emmett Johnson gets 29 carries in this game.
No, for sure. Yeah.
USC I can't remember the last time a USC running back was given more than 20 carries. I get that you don't want to overuse these guys, but sometimes
you got to.
It's okay for a running back to carry the ball more than 20 times. It's okay.
Yeah, not every game.
No, but
in a situation like this where
you're not playing Nebraska's pass defense every game. You will have plenty of times in the future where you don't have to lean on your run game like this. But in this game, it was so very clear that not only was Nebraska's pass defense locked down, but that Nebraska's run defense was the opposite of lockdown and absolutely like cutting through butter. And they could have just said, screw it, we're going to cut through the butter then. And I don't think they really committed to that. And, I think that USC probably comes away with a semi-comfortable, certainly after Raiola goes down injured, but USC probably comes away with a semi-comfortable win if they just say, screw it, we're going to run the ball.
I have a theory. I've just sort of pieced this together. What do you think, if you had to, this is very dumb, you and I were just talking about Dungeons and Dragons because it just got explained to me on TikTok the other day, and it sounds insane to me, and it's not remotely what I thought it was. Anyway, it comes down to you have your skill sheets of what your attributes are, right?
Yes.
What your good stuff and your bad stuff is.
Yeah.
What do you think is the worst attribute that Jaden Maeva has? If you had to put that into a mechanical sort of number there, you had to write it down. I don't need a number, but what is the thing? What is his worst trait?
What's a way to describe the quality of losing your mind for about 15 minutes? Maeva, what was unusual about this game is he never shook out of it really, but Maeva's biggest problem
falling into a funk.
Is just falling into a funk. Now
Sure.
we've praised him because he has done a good job of being able to get out of the funk.
Yeah.
He's done a pretty good job. Even the SRS distribution in Las Vegas, he's in a funk for a pretty long time, but he eventually shakes it off and is outstanding. So we know that he's not, like, once he's in a funk, he's not stuck there. But in this game, he was stuck there. And I think that like, his falling into a funk is what I would call his worst quality.
I would say his worst quality is panic decision making.
Okay.
It's guy in his face. Oh, I got to do something. Oh, I'm gonna do this, like that kind of thing, right? And we saw it against Notre Dame where he just like tossed that ball up and it landed in, was it Tunic Hines' breadbasket? Randomly, right? We saw it in this past game where there was the intentional grounding thing. There was the one where he just tries to pitch it and just rolls out of bounds, like that, which was also deemed intentional grounding, like that kind of stuff, right? I wonder if the argument for, or if the reason for why Lincoln Riley does not do more with Jaden Maiava from a run game perspective is because he is wanting to limit the quick trigger decisions, in the sense that, like, Jaden Maiava, I trust him to read a defense and throw the ball where it should be and all that kind of stuff. And I think that we all do for the most part, right? But, like, in a split decision thing, is he going to make the right decision on a pitch? Is he going to make the right decision on keep or give? Is he going to make the right decision on keep, give, pitch? What, you know what I mean? Like, all those little factors, all those little options. Is that the reason why they don't run more designed sort of run and option plays?
Well, I think this is an underrated part of the challenge of being a quarterback, and an underrated answer for why do you not run more read options if your quarterback is incapable of actually reading the read option. That would be an issue. Yeah. But I don't know that we have enough evidence to say for sure that that's what's the case with Maiava.
Sunshine in the pitch.
Yes, exactly. Like sunshine in the pitch.
It was sunshine in the pitch, right?
Can't make that pitch. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know.
Either way, this is far beyond just the Nebraska game. This is a general gripe I have with offensive coordinators that I have had the pleasure and displeasure of having to watch them call games. Varying degrees of good and bad offensive coordinators that we've had to watch very closely over the years. Mm-hmm. Every single one of them was a former quarterback, and every single one of them does this thing where they won't just say, screw it, we are running the ball on every down, and you will try to stop this.
Yeah. Yeah, and it works when it's the 2007 Rose Bowl and you have Steve Sarkisian, who, leads the NCAA in passing at BYU in 1995, and he decides that he's going to throw on literally every down and win your Rose Bowl that way. But not every game needs to be that.
Well, see, this is where I get frustrated, is that these former quarterback offensive coordinators are more than willing to do that side of it. And that worked beautifully. Sark made the exact right decision because Michigan was not letting USC gain a single yard on the ground. There was nothing there. And so Sark said, screw it, we're going to just pass on every down. The nuclear option, it was perfect. But how many times have we ever seen Sark do the opposite, where nothing is working in the pass game, we're just going to run on every down? They never freaking do that. And then we watch freaking Stanford run power every single play to USC's frustration, and we just don't see USC do that to teams, and it is very frustrating. And it's not a USC problem alone. It's not a Lincoln Riley problem alone. It's just one of those things that I think that sometimes keeping it simple and just taking the physical advantage that you have. Yeah. Is underrated, and coordinators often are outthinking each other a little bit.
Yeah. MG's Raiders in the chat says it's called diversity in your run game, right? Yeah, I think so. I think there needs to be more sort of diversity there. Absolutely. Okay, let's get to over under.
So you're going over.
I'm feeling bold. Give me that over.
I got to take it under here. I got 3 under to take.
I'm going to do an under here.
All right,
Would you believe that the dogs went on an hour and a half walk this morning?
Longest walk they've gone in a long, like you were out for several miles, and here we are. So I'm sorry, guys. We went to the nuclear option of the yak cheese. Didn't work.
The problem with not to go on this again, the problem with the yak cheese or the bully sticks or the rawhides or whatever is that like Badger notices that Jesse has one too. And then Badger decides, well, I want that one, not the one that's right here. Mm-hmm. I want yours.
Yeah. Anyways, here we go. Yeah. Over under 287.5 Jaden Mayava passing yards. This was way under. It was 135. Yikes. All right. Next one. Over under 136.5 Emmett Johnson rushing yards. It was way over $165 for him. Over under 2.5 USC sacks. It was under as one, just one. Nebraska had been giving up 1 million sacks. They didn't do that in this game. SC only got to Raiola once. Ultimately, it was the one that knocked him out of the game. Unfortunately, it was an awful looking replay, by the way. And he's out for the rest of the year.
Yeah. And I wonder if USC would have gotten more sacks in the end if it was a little bit of a close battle between USC and Nebraska. Nebraska was willing to throw the ball more, and then we got the Raiola holding the ball a little bit too much, trying to do too much kind of thing. But also USC's pass rush is kind of weird, and I don't really understand it at all.
Yeah.
Also, was that a hip drop tackle? This has been a debate on Twitter that I can't decide because, again, I don't know what the rules are anymore. I can't trust my own interpretation of anything anymore.
I haven't watched it enough to tell you. Yeah. Over under 39.5 yards for longest kick return for Nebraska. It was under at 25. Over under 36.5 third down rate for Nebraska. It was over 41.2, 5 of 12. And then over under 6.5 Mackay 11 receptions. It was under. It was 2.
Yeah, Mackay has not had a good last 2 games. Yeah. Not the unfortunate thing for Mackay is I think this is really tanking his draft stock.
Yeah.
On the plus side, I think it's becoming very clear that Jacoby Lane should not leave for the NFL, but
yeah. You went 4-2. I went 2-4. Not good for me. Top route bots of the week, Stephen Schad, Britt Nervine, and Pickle. All went really well. All went 5-1 this week. Congrats. Top route bots of the season is Steven. Steven and Vince, number 1, tied for number 1, 22 over unders 1 this year. Tied for third is HH and HB and John Clown. Tied for fifth is J Vandy, me, and Tim in LA. So big ups to them, including myself, of course. Tied for fifth. Vegas spread was SC 6.5. They did not cover. FEI projections was 33-27 with the Trojans in favor of that with a 59.5 win probability. And your prediction was 30-28 Trojans. I said 31-30 Trojans. I didn't think we predicted that Dylan Raiola would be out for most of the second half, and we also didn't predict that Jaden Mayava was going to be that bad through the air.
I certainly didn't think Jaden Mayava was going to be that bad through the air. I'm not sure that Dylan Raiola being available in the end puts this score significantly higher. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I just think that the defense has won out in a game that we sort of expected the offense to have more of a say. Can I update you on the college football playoff?
Sure.
So I'll just, do you want the full rundown or do you want me to highlight?
Just do sure, whatever you want.
Okay. Number 25, Tennessee. Number 24, Pitt. Number 23, Washington. Number 22, Missouri. Number 21, Michigan. Then number 20, Iowa. So USC's next opponent after next is number 20. And USC is number 19, just behind number 18, Miami, 17 Georgia Tech, 16 Vandy. I don't think we've gotten the next set, but it's notable that like teams like Washington and Pitt and the like are in the top 25 where like the AP hasn't acknowledged them. My favorite thing about the college football playoff rankings is the way the AP scrambles the next week to copy them, because the AP doesn't know, it doesn't have any clue how the committee is gonna weigh things. So yeah, USC 19 in the first rankings. They've got number 20 Iowa coming up. They've already beaten number 21 Michigan, and we'll see where Oregon is. But I think that'll be the last of the potentially ranked teams that USC will face. There are no group of five teams ranked in the top 25. Notre Dame is number 10. Utah's number 13. And sorry, I'm looking at this on Twitter. It's all over the place. I'm trying to catch up to there. I think they are still revealing it. That's why. Texas 11, Oklahoma 12, Utah 13, Virginia 14, Louisville 15. Miller Moss is Louisville.
All right, let's get to the mailbag.
You've got mail.
All right, let's start with a voicemail we got from Rich.
Hey, great win against Nebraska. Lincoln Riley called a good game, except for that first quarter where he ran 3 consecutive passing plays. But other than that, it was a great win. Only thing I wish is that Dylan Raiola was healthy throughout the whole game so we could actually see how the defense would react for a full 4 quarters. The Nebraska's offense was pretty predictable once Raiola got hurt. So good win overall. Rich from San Diego.
Thanks for the call, Rich. Yeah, I would love to know what the defensive performance in the second half would have been full stop with Raiola in there. Because I think the defense played really well in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
Got the stops, all that kind of stuff. But also, like, there's part of you that's like, yeah, but they were playing a backup quarterback. Like, how much of it was the backup quarterback? How much of it were adjustments made, execution, all that kind of stuff, too? I think we would know more if Raiola was still in there.
Yes, especially the effectiveness of USC's defense against the run, because I think that once Raiola goes out, you can just say, we're going to put more effort, put the bigger bodies in. We're going to sort of stack the box and see if we can limit Emmett Johnson, and they did it just enough, and know that that they're not likely to get daggered by a quarterback, especially because it's not just that Raiola goes out, it's that the Nebraska offensive coordinator knows that he doesn't have Dylan Raiola and is going to adjust his play calling accordingly for the backup, who was very clearly more of a run threat than a pass threat for them. So it's a tricky evaluation. Like I said, I don't know that Raiola was killing USC in the passing game either. But it still does cloud it a little bit in terms of how real was the defensive performance. Yeah.
MG's Raiders in the chat says last time we played Nebraska, who was the quarterback? The same quarterback last year.
It was Raiola, yeah.
It was Raiola and Mayava last year. Both of them. All right, voicemail from LA Fred.
Hey, Rain, it's Roy. This is LA Fred calling. Well, Saturday night at Nebraska was a very frustrating game, and I sure hope I'm not alone in being very disappointed with how USC came out to play, especially on offense, and much less coming off of a bye week when they have no excuse not to be sharp as a tack. I forced myself to do a rewatch of this game to give it a fresh look, and it was still exactly as I thought. A huge, smoking turd. I do think the Trojans caught a huge break, though, when Dylan Raiola had to exit the game due to injury, forcing the Huskies to go to their backup, TJ Latif, I think. And thank goodness he was the only one in the stadium worse throwing the ball than Mayava was. Luckily, this allowed SC to stack the box and somewhat slow down Emmett Johnson, provide the opportunity to come back and win. I'm going to stop my criticism there and focus more on the happiness of a Big Ten conference road win versus a Nebraska team that was 5-1 at home. And we all know how tough road wins have been to get under Lincoln Riley. Plus, it fits exactly into one of my favorite sports sayings. An ugly win is always better than a pretty loss. Have a good short week. Beat the Wildcats. Fight on, everybody.
Yeah, 100%. I think SC is not in a situation, realistically, to be choosy when it comes to road wins. You take your road win any way you can get it.
Yes, and I agree with everything that Fred said in the sense of like I came out very frustrated by that game. The first half of that game made me want to bleach my eyes out. Like I tweeted that like I would rather do laundry than have to watch that first half again. It got only marginally better in the second half because USC's defense at least started to, get some stops, but it was an ugly performance. Now, ugly performances can be forgiven if at the end of the season you are
Gotta win your clunkers.
If you're 9-3, then I can look back at this and say it was just, a tough road performance against a team that was doing a blackout. That's tough. That's a tough beat at home. All of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I guess the issue that I have coming out of this is I don't know what the rest of the season holds. I don't know that USC will be 9-3. If USC is 9-3, then yes, it's easy to sort of look at this and say that USC figured something out. If USC loses to Iowa, or God forbid UCLA, or both, we're looking at this game as more proof of what USC isn't. And I think that's sort of the frustration that I have is that, yes, coming out of a bye against a team like Nebraska that is, yes, a tough beat at home, but also is a team with a clear set of weaknesses and strengths. Like Nebraska, when we evaluated them coming in on the preview, we talked specifically about how they are one of the best pass defenses in the country. Now, they hadn't played a pass offense as good as USC's yet, but that they had been locked down all season and that they could not stop the run to save their lives. So, I think there's a universe where USC comes off this bye week having decided, well, whether or not Nebraska's pass defense is legitimate, we know their run defense isn't legitimate. Let's just force them to stop us on the ground, and then we will, put their pass defense to the test a little bit more. And that's kind of not what USC did, and you end up with a terrible performance from your quarterback, and you end up in a close game against a team that I guess where I'm at is I want USC to aspire to more than just a 21-17 win over a team like Nebraska.
Yeah. I think that if you play this game as it was with Rayola going out the way that he did, unfortunately, because nobody wants to see that, the options are A, what you had. SC wins 21-17. There are the options in which SC does the thing that they do always in road games, which is they don't make the plays in the fourth quarter in the pivotal moments. They give up the touchdown at the end. I don't know, maybe there's a pick six, whatever it is that you want to throw in there, right? And that's the reason that SC loses. The other option, I think, is the option that, Dan on the Solid Verbal was saying that this should have been the case, and I have a hard time arguing against it, is that in a situation where you have such an advantage on the ground, running the ball yourself, the other team has their best player, the quarterback, Emmett Johnson, if you want to include him, obviously still there.
Arguably their most important player is
the
Dylan
quarterback.
Raiola.
Out of the game, they are now extremely one-dimensional, which when you have a defense like SC's that is vulnerable fairly often, going one-dimensional makes it significantly easier on your defense.
There's a reason USC's two best defensive performances of the season have come against the most one-dimensional teams they've played.
Yes. And so, when you're getting the stops, and when you're able to run the ball that much, there's a world where you win this game 35-17, and you put your foot on their throats, and
you make a statement.
You take care of business, and you come out and you're like, yeah, we had a sucky first half, but hey, we took advantage of the things that were going in our favor. And SC didn't do that. But they also didn't capitulate.
Yes, but
and I think like both of those things are true at the same time.
MG's Raider says sometimes games, no matter who they are against or where they are, can be really difficult to win.
Yeah,
absolutely true. Where I come down on this is that, like, okay, in the Pete Carroll era, USC would lose this kind of game if it was the Pac-12 road opener. Like, lose this game pretty much every year, right?
If it was September 24th. Yes.
So yeah, Pete never lost it in November on November 1st. No loss November was Pete's thing. But let's take the timing of the game out of context. Like going to a team like Nebraska, which let's call the going to Washington or going to Oregon State or going to one of these teams that isn't a terrible team, not a great team, but not a terrible team on the road. It's an ugly game and you lose it. Mm-hmm. That's sometimes. The games, no matter where they are against or who they're against or where they are, can be really difficult to win. 100% that is the thing. But in the Pete Carroll era, when USC would lose those games, I never felt like it was a reflection of the team, what the team could accomplish or what the team was, because we had so much proof otherwise of the team not being. Not being the identity of the team not being wrapped up in that loss.
It would be easier to call this a clunker if it was truly a one-off, but it wasn't.
Every game wasn't a clunker. Yes, exactly.
I think the only part about this that is truly a one-off was how bad Mayava was this season.
Yes,
because we have not seen him be this bad since the SRS Distribution Las Vegas Bowl. And so far this year, his worst game was the Notre Dame game, and his Notre Dame game was still pretty good.
Was way better than this. Yeah. The only reason, like, his PFF grade is right around where he was with the Notre Dame game, and the only difference was that he runs the ball better in this game, and it props up some of his numbers. But the point being is that, like, I want to be able to look at this game and say, Pete Carroll won a lot of games ugly too. Like, I think that not everything was 2005, like running away from, teams, those like out of conference games where USC absolutely dominated. A lot of the conference games were, wow, that was an ugly first half, and then the comeback in the second half, and you get your 30-17 win, and you just move on. But those teams had sort of earned some benefit of the doubt that this team does not have. So I'm not giving them a benefit of the doubt. I would love to. I really would. And I'm not saying this to be negative or anything like that. This is just my honest assessment. I wish I could just say this was a win, and I don't have any anxiety about this particular the way that this particular win happened. But this team and this coaching staff have not earned my benefit of the doubt to tell me that the way that this game played out was not a reflection of the quality of this team or what they can accomplish in a way that the Pete Carroll teams. Those losses were frustrating, but they always felt like aberrations. Well, this didn't feel like an aberration. This felt like, well, this is par for the course, and USC just happened to win this one. And again, I as I said, like, it feels to me like USC might have just happened to win this game because Nebraska just happened to lose it.
Yeah. No, I think it would also help if Nebraska didn't have a track record of capitulating these games themselves.
Yeah. And Nick in the chat says 2018 wins in Oregon State. That team's winning a natty. Yes, and that team wins a natty in most other years of college football, and certainly if the playoff is in existence. But that's a really good point to bring up, because that Oregon State team, that Oregon State loss made zero sense in the context of the rest of that season. Because that was one of the best defenses that USC has ever fielded. And that defense was torn apart in that game against Oregon State. Mm-hmm. That loss to Oregon State.
Also a 9-win Oregon State too.
I mean, yes, but that loss to Oregon State was not a reflection of what that 2018 one was. That was, you're on the road, in a difficult place to play against a decent opponent, and shit happens. Where, this might just be a shit happens, close win. I'm not ready to say that yet.
No, I get it.
Here's just to carry on with this. Okay, USC has played 4 road games so far this year, right? Mm-hmm. How would we rank those opponents? I think it's very simple. It's Notre Dame, Illinois, Nebraska, Purdue, right?
Yes.
USC loses to Notre Dame by 10. USC loses to Illinois by 2. USC beats Nebraska by 4. USC beats Purdue by 15.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying that
to me, what's going on with USC on the road has more to do with the opponent than with anything that USC is bringing to the table. USC is par, and the outcome against these opponents is a reflection of those opponents.
Yeah, SC's been consistent in that sense. Yeah.
Yes.
I will give you that, absolutely. By the way, 2008, Florida lost at home to Ole Miss.
Oh, don't get me started on comparing whose loss was better and whose wins were better. That era of college football was an absolute freaking mess.
Is that the game that Tebow cried?
The speech? Yeah, probably.
Yeah, that's the speech, right?
Yeah.
What a time to be alive. Let's go to
USC losing to Oregon State in today. That would be Alabama losing to Kentucky or somebody on the road and going like, oh well, that's just what Kentucky is like. There would have been so much more respect for USC's loss to Oregon State if the SEC could have if we could have compared it properly in terms of.
In hindsight, I don't think the Oregon State loss is as monumental as it looks on paper now.
No,
it really isn't. I'm looking at it now. I think it also doesn't help that Oregon State started the season 0-2 and got blown out by Penn State in week 2.
Yeah.
But then they beat SC. They lose on the road at Utah the following week by a field goal. But then they win the next 6 games in a row. They do give up 65 points to Oregon in the Civil War. But then they win the Sun Bowl 3-0 over Pitt and win 9 games.
What a Sun Bowl. That's the most Sun Bowl thing I ever heard.
That's very Sun Bowl-y.
Yeah.
But yeah, like those Oregon State teams were always great, well coached under Mike Riley and all that stuff. Corvallis is a tough place to play. In hindsight, I don't think the Oregon State loss is not it's not a crime. It's a crime given that was a season in college football where you needed to be perfect to win a national championship.
It's a crime that team didn't get a chance to play for a national title. That's the crime. Not that they lost to Oregon State, but that the system was what it was. That
I will also always say that, I think the assumption that SC absolutely wins that national championship is always probably a little bit overblown.
Yeah. I mean, you never know. You literally never know.
No, the reason I'm saying that is because, that was a year where there were so many good teams.
There were so many good teams. Yeah.
I have no doubt that 06 SC and 07 SC win national championships. The 2008 team, which was better than those 06 and 07 teams, by the way.
Yeah.
Which murders the 06-07 team, was also playing a year in which teams were just better in 08. I think the 08 season had a lot of really good teams.
Yeah.
A lot of really good teams. So
I'm sorry, I just wanted to add one thing to my rant about my anxiety about USC's wins and losses sometimes being more of a reflection of the opponent than them. Mm-hmm. For instance, last year, season opener against LSU. Does USC beat LSU because USC is better than LSU, or does USC beat LSU because LSU just always loses their season opener because they had done it 5 years in a row? Does USC beat Nebraska because USC is better than Nebraska, or does USC beat Nebraska because Nebraska is 0-8 against ranked teams under Matt Rule?
Last year, SC lost every game in which the other team had the ball at the end, right? Mm-hmm. With the exception of Nebraska. And Nebraska was the team. And again, Nebraska's known for not winning the games at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not to say that
I'm not, and I will go on the record. I don't think Nebraska was scoring on that last drive, but it is so Nebraska that the way that they don't score on that last drive has nothing to do with anything USC does. The running back literally trips on 4th and 1. It's the most Nebraska way to lose possible. Yeah. In a way that's it's almost disappointing. It's because I would have liked to have celebrated USC's defense making a play to win a game. They needed a make a play to win a game moment, and they were denied that by the Nebraska of it all,
Right. Yeah. You needed the J.R. Tavai strip sack.
Yes, and I think,
of Kevin
honestly,
Hogan.
in this game, it felt like USC was capable of getting that play. It felt like, Eric Gentry and Kamari Ramsey played really well. That there were guys out there who I felt like could step up and make that play, and it's just funny that it comes down to the way that it does.
I'd like to point out Eric Gentry got his traditional road game
force fumble. Yes.
Force fumble. Yes.
Yes.
You got one of those. So now it's every game in the last 2 years, the exception of Notre Dame. Yes. All right, email from Nick. Alicia and Michael, hope the wedding was fun and you all had a great time. We did. I'll make this quick, but a win is a win. It was very ugly. It only took Baby Mahomes spraining his ankle and the turf monster helping us out on 4th and short in the last few minutes to secure the win. Fight on, beat the Wildcats. There's also a follow-up email. I'll add on to my last email after sleeping on it and trying to be less pessimistic. It was another great showing for King Miller. And besides the woes we had with the passing game, Tanook Hines, as a true freshman, made some very critical catches that kept drives alive. And for as bad as a game as Jaden had in the air, I was finally glad to see him use his feet. And overall, I'll just say the defense did what they needed to be done. Giving up only 17 points during a blackout game in Lincoln, Nebraska is an accomplishment. 100%. Yeah.
Yes, and I do want to call out, we haven't really had a lot of, I'm like, we're going to get accused of being so negative, and I'm sorry, guys, but here's some positives. We haven't really had a chance to talk a lot about like Tanook and some of the standout players in this game. PFF's grades for USC, the top players on offense were Jaden Richardson, Tanook Hines, King Miller, Elijah Page, and Kalon Miller. I think that in a game where Jacoby Lane and Mekhi Lemon were completely shut down, Tanook and Jaden Richardson stepped up with really, really critical plays. There weren't many of them for them, but the one catch that Jaden Richardson has is a massive catch. And Tanook Hines only has 2 catches in this game, but both of them are big catches for him. Really big moments for 2 guys who are clearly not like the star receivers, but shout out to Tanook Hines for being a true freshman who continues to show up game in and game out. And especially to Jaden Richardson, who we haven't talked a lot about, but it does feel like Jaden Richardson is quietly becoming the not the 2024 Kyron Hudson, but like the 2023 Kyron Hudson, the one who pops up for like 1 or 2 catches a game.
Well, he makes Tufts catches.
He makes Tufts catches, yes. But it's like he always pops up for like a first down catch. Yeah. In almost every game he's had. So big for him. And then obviously King and Kalon. Good to have Elijah Page back and to have him playing well. And then I also wanted to call one more thing, if we're talking positives. USC's defense has had a rough go of it, but I was looking at the PFF numbers and something stood out to me. Against Nebraska, so the way PFF works is they give you like the grade, and then there's like color coordinating, right? So anything above like a 65, or I guess it's a 64, is like shaded in like a yellow green, and then it gets like a darker green as you go up in like positive rating, right? So against Notre Dame, USC had 2 players on defense who were in the green shades. Against Illinois, they had 5 in the green shades. These are the last two road games. Against Michigan, they had 12 in the green shade. Against Nebraska, they have 11 in the green shade. Like, again, the 2 best defensive performances of the season are ones where a greater number of players simply show up and have a good game. Top players on defense were Eric Gentry, Kamari Ramsey, Desmond Stevens, Anthony Lucas, and Marcellus Williams. So.
Yeah. Let's go to in the chats. The Stories Hero joined us over in the Route Supporters Club. Big ups. Thank you.
Hey.
Big cheers. And there was a question for the pod from the Stories Hero. Who do we have to speak to get Eric Gentry number 55 already? We've talked about this for a while. You got to give it to somebody at some point.
Give somebody I'm going to just be a broken record. Give somebody the 55. If Eric Gentry wants it, give it to him. If he doesn't, then give it to a freshman. Somebody should be wearing 55. Just do it. I think somebody in the chat said save it for Talanoa Ely. Yes, by all means. I'm perfectly happy with that. I am tired of the 55 not being out there. more than earned the 55 if that's what he wants.
Yeah.
But also, we need to stop acting like you earned the 55. No one ever earned the 55 that went on to be good in the 55. They were all given it as freshmen. Just stop it.
It's a retconning. It's
Yes.
a retconning. Junior Seau passed away, and then everyone...
And they retconned into, like, you have to earn it. No,
Yeah.
Lamar Dawson got it as a freshman. I'm sorry that he was disappointing, but Keith Rivers also got it as a freshman.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And if the idea is that Junior Seau has to be involved in giving the number to those guys, and now he's no longer involved, well, then retire the number.
Yes. I think it was
You know
Mr.
what I mean?
P who said Talanoa Ely for the record, so yeah, shout out.
So, and then the stories here also said, asked about the Discord. I will look into that stuff. I will make sure that we're getting everybody in the Discord that should be in the Discord. There's also
Nick asks, when was the last time 55 was out there? Literally, Lamar Dawson was the last to wear it in 2012?
2012.
Yeah.
Did he play in 13? I think he did play in 13.
If he played in 13, it was 13. Needless to say, it's been over 10 years.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Because Junior died in
2012.
Yeah, so it was yeah.
Yeah. Fight on Natty's in the chat says, well, I looked it up and it seems like they're going to schedule an SC game against Iowa for an effing 12:30 kickoff. WTF?
Yep.
It's the homecoming game. People for
like
years have been wanting a homecoming game that is earlier in the day. People have said that. People also want it later, so that way there's more time to do homecoming stuff. But also, people complain about night games. They complain about early games.
It's Michaela Maroney is not impressed, and it literally doesn't matter what time you put it in. Somebody's going to complain.
Yeah. Absolutely. Email from Andrew. Alicia said in that unit grading episode, quote, Mayava hasn't had a clunker yet. The second she said that, I screamed out loud, uh-oh. As a 10-year Rant listener and Rant historian, I can tell you that's not the first time that this has happened. Alicia has superpowers. Happy travels, Andrew in Madrid.
Thank you for the email, Andrew. I need to start using my powers for good. Like talking about how USC's passing defense hasn't had a shutdown game yet.
You know, SC hasn't won in Eugene in a while.
USC has not won in Eugene in a while.
Yeah. My bank account hasn't had $1 million in it in a bit.
You know, it's been a while since I've won the lottery. I'm just saying. It's been a long while since I got a notification of a massive payout from something that I bought 15 years ago that I don't even remember where it was. You know,
it really is a thing that Corey Perry is on the Kings roster and Michael isn't allowed to wear his Kings hat until that rotten guy is off the roster. That really is a crazy thing now. People who used to work at Target, there's a big class action lawsuit and we're all getting $1 million because of some payroll issue. Yeah, that hasn't really happened in a while. Yeah, I gotta say, Chelsea hasn't won a game in Azerbaijan in 7 years, you know? Playing Karabakh tomorrow, you know? Just saying.
Yep.
In the chats, it was mentioned by Mr. P that I just found out that Kevin Ellison died from concussions too. Yeah, that one.
That was.
There's no comparing tragedies,
no.
Right? That's ridiculous, and all tragedies are awful. The Kevin Ellison one.
That wrecked me, man.
Absolutely wrecked me.
Yeah.
For multiple, he had before he passed away. He had the incident with the arson thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, we knew this CTE thing was an issue. Maybe not CTE directly, but we knew that there was an issue there, right? It was sad. Junior Seau was completely out of nowhere. In
hindsight, of course,
In hindsight, it makes a lot of sense knowing what we know now about football players and all that kind of stuff. But it was especially sad with Kevin Ellison because like there was a rough ending that had a scary moment before, and it still ended up still being a scary thing. So on.
This is the really sad thing about being a football fan is like I think we all need to be hoping and that we are able to figure something out about the CTE thing.
Yeah.
To either catch it earlier and find a way to treat it or slow it, to prevent it, to all of these things, because we fall in love with these players, and unfortunately, far, far, far too many of them will and have ended up being worse for wear on that front, and it really sucks because
I'm not going to sit here and say that they should ban the game, or that you shouldn't let your kids play football. Like,
no, but we got to take it so seriously.
I'm not that guy. At the same point, it is very unsettling to me that growing up watching SC football, my favorite hit ever was Kevin Ellison on Deshaun Jackson at the Coliseum in 2007. And in the moment, I thought Deshaun Jackson was dead. Which, not celebrating that I thought he was dead. But it was the hardest hit I've ever freaking seen.
Yeah, I remember.
The Rose Bowl one with Taylor Mason.
Taylor Mason
Norwood
taking out Kevin Ellison too, like
the other Ellison.
Yeah.
No, Kevin Thomas. He took out
Kevin Thomas.
Yeah.
That's right.
The other Thomas, Kevin Thomas. Yeah.
Oh crap! Jaw Jarrett is out with season-ending injury. He's undergoing surgery.
Well, that's not good.
No.
But going back to the Kevin Ellison thing, like that is such a it was Deshaun Jackson coming to the Coliseum after all of the recruiting stuff, after the Cal at the time was like SC's like chief in-conference rival at the time, apart from UCLA obviously, but like it was such a big moment in 2007, and that moment, like, such a great hit to watch in that moment. A thing where I've watched it on YouTube a million times, and then to think about it, what role did that hit play in Kevin Ellison's demise? You know what I mean? Like, that's gross. And then to think that, like, cheering this hard headhunting hit on Deshaun Jackson, even though as a kid I didn't like the guy because he was on a rival team, feels gross now. You know what I mean? Like,
it's rough. There's a lot of implications.
It's new context, right?
Yeah.
It's new. There's a reason that the NFL doesn't make those NFL bone crushing hits. Brought to you by. Yeah.
Brian in the chat says the elephant in the room is they need to put size and weight limits on the players and reduce some of the momentum in these hits. My hot take continues to be that they need to transition towards soft helmets. They need to make the players themselves have to self-govern their they are simply too big and too fast, and the only because the helmet it's weird because I don't want to say
what you're talking about is
rugby has this problem, has the concussion problem too, but it's just
this is roads. Do you know that what the most dangerous residential roads in America are? They're the wide ones with no trees.
Yes, because you can't see, you have no reference for your speed.
Well, no, not only that, it is too comfortable. The safest residential roads in America are the narrow ones with trees.
Yeah. Because
your natural inclination is to drive slower because you cannot see and be comfortable there. And that is a weird psychological thing.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any logical sense. Right? Because they should be safer with more protections. Yes, that's how. Yes.
Yes.
But there is this other element to that. Well, that.
But it's if cars were indestructible and a crash didn't put you in danger of being killed or injured, there would be a lot more crashes. And I think that that's sort of part of the issue with the way that helmets are designed is there's almost, it's not too much protection. It's just that like you as a tackler and as a you know, somebody with the ball, you are almost tricked into a sense of safety because you have the helmet, where you know the soft shelled helmets mean you can't throw yourself around in the same kind of way. Now, I do say this knowing full well, like this is a pipe dream that will literally never happen. I think the way to go is those paneled helmets that shock absorption is just better and all that kind of stuff. But you know, it's
the Mr. Kazoo helmets.
Yes.
Who's out for the season? Jamal
Jarrett, the defensive lineman.
Yeah.
Trojan Fight in the chat said, I hope you guys let the bride and groom have it for scheduling a fall wedding.
Hey, it was a Sunday wedding, to be fair.
To be fair, the wedding was on Sunday.
Yes.
So we were able to watch the game and, not have it be a complete pain in the ass to be literally at the wedding ceremony when the game started, which would have been the case if it
the
was
wedding
on Saturday.
festivities started literally as the SC game ended.
Yes.
And that there was like, the cocktail hour, welcome cocktail hour and stuff was on Saturday night. So
which was very funny because a lot of us had been in the sports book watching the USC game, and then the baseball game was on there, and we left going to the place where the cocktail hour was going to be, hoping it was going to be at a bar. So we were like, well, they might have a TV on. They probably do. And we get over there, and it's like the one place in the entire freaking casino that doesn't have a TV with the game on. So it was basically just sets of people at tables with one person's phone open with the game on, watching the end of the World Series. Yeah, so that was fun.
Unfortunately. Yeah. You were safe at home.
I still think the Blue Jays just got terribly unlucky, but
I genuinely do not think that there is a team that has ever had a heartbreaking loss that could be more heartbreaking than what the Blue Jays had. The only thing that comes close, and I think that you can make the argument that this is worse, was Buckner.
Yeah.
But the Blue Jays were literally centimeters, maybe a centimeter, away from winning the World Series.
Yep.
Multiple times.
Yeah.
Multiple times.
I mean, just think about the
ground rule double in Game 6.
The millimeter difference in Game 6. If that ground rule, if that ball is a millimeter higher or lower, it doesn't get stuck in the wall, and Game 6 plays out very differently.
Yes, and then you hit it to the wall in the bottom of the ninth, and there's a collision in the outfield.
I will say, okay, again, neither of us are Dodgers fans, so just bear with us here, Dodgers fans, but it would have been the funniest way that a championship has ever been lost in the history of sports if that outfield collision had resulted in the ball falling, if the ball had not been caught. That would have been, Buckner could have slept. I don't know if Buckner's still alive.
He's dead. Rest
Buckner's family could have slept easy. Anyone with the Buckner name could have slept easy. It would cease to be the biggest postseason blunder in the history of sport, because that would have been the biggest postseason blunder in the history of sport.
I think it would have been apropos if when Rojas throws it home and he's off balance, right? You watch the throwback, him throwing, he is very off balance. It's a surprise that it's that great of a throw, because it's a hard throw to make when your momentum is going weird and all that stuff. If his throw would have been high the way that the Phillies guy, Kettering, threw the thing, that would have been, it would have been art. It would have been art.
It would have been art, yeah.
Unfortunately, we have to watch that godforsaken franchise win another World Series with an asterisk, unfortunately, because he was safe at home.
It was very funny at the wedding we have a family friend who is in the Dodgers. She works in the Dodgers organization, and she did not realize what a Dodger hater Michael was. And so we were talking to her about, just stuff with the Dodgers and excitement for that she's getting out of the ring and all this kind of stuff. And we were talking about whether or not the 2020 ring, like what's the most valuable ring in terms of just like historicness. And we were, saying, is it this one because of the epic nature of the series, or is it 2020 because of the uniqueness? And I mentioned that, like, well, I don't know. People like my husband called the 2020 World Series a Mickey Mouse championship. So, and the look on her face,
and then she walks over,
she
and
stomps over, like literally, like stomps over to have a conversation with Michael.
And she's like, I heard what you said about 2020. I'm like, what? That it was fake?
Yeah.
And then, rightfully, predictably, it was actually the hardest playoff because there were more teams than ever, which that's fine. I get it. It's also fake.
I mean, for the record, I don't like the Dodgers. I'm not a Dodger fan, but I will go to bat for 2020 in that no team has ever had to win a series, to win a World Series in the context that the Dodgers did it, and I don't think it was easier than any other World Series that others have won. I think that
the playoffs themselves,
the psychological.
Are we gonna have this discussion?
No, the psychological weight of those players being in the bubble was just something that nobody has ever had to deal with, and that it's a different challenge, one that is unique and one that is certainly not an easy thing to have done, which is why I also don't fault the Lakers for their bubble championship either, because again, we know that the bubble was really hard. That one
is less of a Mickey Mouse one because they still played a full season. I see the merit in the thought that, like, the playoffs themselves were such a unique and difficult challenge. And also everybody was playing, everyone signed up for a season and a playoff that was the same. So, like, yeah, obviously. But it's just not the same as the other ones. They played 60 games.
Yeah, but okay,
go find any season and look at the
right, but the postseason.
How many times would the Angels be in would be the number one seed 60 games into a season?
We aren't celebrating the Dodgers getting into the playoffs. It's a celebration of them winning the championship. Everybody in the playoffs got to the play. Like, what team didn't make the playoffs in 2020 that would have changed the outcome of the 2020 World Series?
We're gonna legislate this. Let's 2020 standings, pulling it up. Let's get into it. If we're going to go fully into it, 2020 standings. Who did not make the playoffs that could have been that could have wreaked havoc? We're saying, right? That's what the argument is.
That would have made a difference. Okay, so the Giants, the Phillies, the Rockies, the Mets, the Nats, the Diamondbacks, the Pirates, the Mariners, the Royals, the Angels, the Orioles, the Red Sox, the Tigers, the Rangers, Rangers, whatever, Mariners, whatever. Like, you're telling me any of those teams would have changed the outcome of the World Series?
Not necessarily.
No, absolutely not.
But not necessarily. But like, you have to factor in the first series. First of all, it is the thing now. The bullshit 3-game wild card series was a thing then. It's a thing now. Those are ridiculous, utterly ridiculous. But like, it was a 60-game season. I don't know how.
No, they beat the Padres,
which
is a thing that they have to do. They beat the Braves in 7, which is again a thing that they would have to do most years, and then they beat the Rays in 6. Like, it's. And Kenny in the chat said that, like, it changes the feeling no fans being there. Yeah, but they also didn't get the advantage of home field. They never got a home field advantage. They never got the advantage of their home crowd.
The tournament itself, I agree, is is very valid and all that kind of stuff. But the whole thing about baseball is that it's the grind of the 162, and then we all bitch about how it actually didn't matter because the number one seed got immediately eliminated in 4 games or whatever because that's how baseball is and all that kind of stuff. Like they played 60 games. Like
yeah.
I don't.
Okay, but they all played 60 games and they all had to go into the playoffs and they all had to find a way to win. Why are you making me defend the Dodgers, Michael? Stop it. I would love for anybody else to have won the World Series. I was rooting for the Rays or literally anybody else except the Yankees and the Astros.
I agree.
To have done something different in that. Like,
I also think that it was funny in a time in which the Dodgers would barf all over themselves every October. It was very funny that they won the bullshit one. Like, that was funny. Like, genuinely funny. You know what I mean?
I do, but also just like, did you want them to simply not play a world? Did you just don't play the season then? Like,
that's not what I'm saying.
No, because if we're saying that like the championship doesn't count, then what was the point of playing the season? What was the point of playing the season then? Don't play the season. If you can't play 100 and whatever games, then it's not a valid championship. Then why bother playing any of it?
Valid thought. I think it would have been fair to call it something else than the World Series. I don't know. It wasn't the same. It was different. Which is fine. It's fine. It's not the same. It's just not the same.
Okay, but like when did they start playing 162 games?
In 1958.
Okay, so all the World Series
60?
before then were not valid World Series.
Played 154 games before. This was the whole Roger Maris thing. Roger Maris hit 61 home runs in the 162-game season, and a lot of people were saying, gave it an asterisk, which it had officially in the record books, because it was a 162-game season, and Babe Ruth did it in a 154-game season, even though Roger Maris didn't play in 162 games.
I just know that if the Cubs had won...
Did you know the World Series used to be 9 games?
You would have called it a legitimate World Series title if the Cubs had won it. I would have called it a legitimate World Series title if the Angels had won it. If USC had gone on to win the national title in 2020 for the 2020 season, we would have called it an absolutely legitimate title, even though...
And it would have been a dumb homer take. I don't know what else to tell you.
Do we call Alabama's title that season? It was Alabama in 2020, right? Do we call that a Mickey Mouse?
It's not Mickey Mouse in the same way, but it's also not the same full-blooded thing. I think that college football season was so weird because everyone played a different amount of games.
Yeah, and teams had games canceled, and certain games you were playing teams that were rocked by COVID and only had so many players.
The
it was
SEC,
like a mess.
I mean,
but like
the SEC doesn't care about science and people's health.
The way that
they were playing the
baseball season went about was more stable and in place than anything that we saw in college football that season.
I mean, they didn't know they were playing the season. Like, all I'm saying is,
if the Brewers had won that, no, maybe not the Brewers. If the Rays had won that World Series, you would not spend this amount of time arguing with me about it.
Right, because I don't care about the Rays, but it still would be freaking
because
fake.
It was the Dodgers.
It would still be fake. Yeah, Brian in the chat says most of Bama's national championships are Mickey Mouse. 78, for instance. Yeah, I mean, 78, prime example. But also, like, I think there's a difference in college football because, like, the whole thing about college football is, like, calling people's championships Mickey Mouse is just what we do. That's what we do as college football fans.
I'm just saying.
We make fun of Auburn being like, we're going to claim this national championship.
It's like in soccer, how nobody cares about the Carabao Cup winner unless you're the one that lifts the trophy. Nobody cares about the FA Cup unless you're the one that lifts the trophy. Like,
no one would have cared about the stupid 2020 World Series unless you won it.
Yeah, so that's fine. I would
But
have
it was still the Carabao
if-
Cup of World Series.
I would still be celebrating the 2020 World Series if the Angels had won it. It would have felt like the Angels didn't
Yes.
completely waste two generational players.
Hold on. I agree. Now imagine a world in which the Angels, who haven't made the playoffs in 15 years or whatever it is, 2013? I think 2013. 13 or 14, whatever it is. They make the playoffs and they win that World Series and they never do anything else. It would still be funny and it would like show that like how batshit it was that this team could win a World Series in a 60-game season. Like that would
but they
would
still
be
would
art
have won.
in itself.
Yes,
and
it would
like,
be art and it would be funny.
It would be a metaphor for how meaningless it actually was.
It would be funny, but it would still be a legitimate World Series.
In name only.
Oh, you are insufferable.
Hey, we can sit here and say that, you know, that any World Series before integration shouldn't count.
I mean,
I
just think if you win the league under the circumstances that the league is under, it's a championship. Like, I'm just not in the business of devaluing championships.
Yes, I agree. But also usually that changes because, oh, well, in 1912, yeah, they were playing with, this team had to play with shorts because they didn't get funding from the chancellor of the whatever at the time. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but like you...
It's different when it's 2020.
USC's Howard Jones championships, those teams would have gotten rocked by teams that appeared even 20 years after they existed.
Well, yeah,
like the game,
that's how sports works.
Games change, leagues change, all that kind of stuff. We don't say that like USC's
this is the
national
argument
titles
that, like,
from those times weren't legitimate.
Well, this is the thing that like soccer fans get in the discussion of like, what did football not exist before 1992 when the Premier League came in?
Yeah.
And it's like, I understand how ridiculous that argument is, but also, are you genuinely telling me that a championship from 1952, when they were playing with balls that were lopsided and on fields that had divots, are as impressive in a grand scheme of things as ones won today under today's standards?
No, but I'm not saying that the Dodgers World Series in 2020 was the most impressive World Series win of a generation. I'm just saying it was a legitimate World Series.
Okay.
I will say the last two Dodgers World Series are not impressive in the slightest to me. You should be winning a World Series with this roster. In fact, it's kind of embarrassing it was so hard for you to win the World Series the last two times.
Sure.
So, you know, that's not where I'm arguing. I'm just saying they got the banner, they got the ring. It's theirs.
Yeah. By the way, the Angels, of course, as we just ramble on and people are going to be tuning out left and right for this.
We love a 2-hour episode.
I know. I'm trying to find a good example of this. And of course, there isn't one that just jumps off the page here. Maybe the Angels through 60 games haven't actually been as good as I thought they could be.
No, the Angels have just been bad, Michael. Like it's not like, oh, they're so good.
But there was at least 1 year when they were good through the first 60 games.
No, they're good for the first 30 days, Michael. They are good for the first month occasionally, or the second month occasionally, but never both.
60 games is the bridge too far.
Yes. They have like 30 game series, like let's say like a 20 game stretch where they're really good. They look like they're going to be amazing. And then they have a 20 game stretch where they look like the worst team in the universe. And they never have a 40 game stretch that's actually decent.
2018, they're 4 games over 500, 60 games in, but they're still 5.5 back. So, yeah, maybe the argument I'm trying to make doesn't exactly work for the Angels, but, like, people listening get it.
Well, no, like, there's like, Mets teams that have been, you know.
Oh, the Mets are a prime example.
This year, the Mets, if you cut it off at 60 games, I want to say that they're, like, the 1 seed or something, or is it last year? One of these years, like the Mets were the best team in baseball through the first half and then fall off a cliff or whatever. But
let's look at the Mets this year. 60 games. They are 38-22, and they're up first place in the NL East by a game and a half.
There you go.
Yeah. Anyways, there was a comment earlier about why from Demina. Have you ever met any other Cubs/USC fans? You're the only one I've ever met. I grew up and live in South Bend, so that's where my Cubs fandom goes. I know we're not alone. I can't think of any off the dome. I tend to call it the Mark Pryor Club. So there's got to be at least 22 of us, right? Jock Jones.
Well,
Dave Kingman.
Michael is a Mets.
Mets
is a Cubs fan. Michael is a Cubs fan because of WGN. I know there's got to be other WGN Cubs fans in Los Angeles who happen to be USC fans. So
no, for 100%.
I bet those exist.
Yeah.
But
there are a lot of Cubs fans in LA. 100%.
Yeah.
But
I don't know
LA also has a bunch of transplants. To be fair. Yeah. But also there's Cubs fans all over the country because of WGN.
Yeah.
I'm a Cubs fan because I watch the Cubs every day on TV. I didn't watch the Dodgers every day on TV because they weren't on TV when I came home from school. The Cubs were. Yeah. So it makes it that easy.
I just want to remind you, we still have 2 emails to get to.
Okay, sorry. All right, here we go. Alien 55. I guess SC was due to win one of these coin flip games. It's still a problem that the team showed up flat, dropped every ball possible, and attempted to set a record for the most penalties in the state of Nebraska. I'm glad that with a little luck, we won't have to get a new coach until November. Alien 55. You and I have talked about this. I don't know if we've really talked about it on the pod about like this coaching carousel is going to be monumental. I always think of when I was a kid, everyone talked about the NBA free agency class of 2010. And like people talked about that in like 2006. People were like looking forward to this. Mm-hmm. And then like that was going to be a big deal. Like this coaching carousel feels like it could be that impactful because of the jobs that are going to be open that are either blue bloods or at least blue blood adjacent. Florida, LSU, Penn State, Oklahoma State is open. Auburn is open. Florida State should probably be open, right? I think it does raise the question, independent of everything else and completely independent of how you feel about Lincoln Riley too. Like just from a philosophical perspective, I ask this question and I genuinely don't know the answer. If you are an AD, does all the happenings around the country make you want to put your hat in the ring to find a new coach more or less? Because I think you can make the argument each way.
If I'm an AD, I do not want my hat in the ring unless there is a specific coach that I want and I know that I can get through back channeling. So like for instance, I don't want in on this cycle unless I want Summerall from Tulane. Or I don't want in on this cycle unless I want you're really invested in getting Lane Kiffin, or you're really invested in getting Jeff Brahmer, or I don't think Clark Lea is going anywhere, but like one of the, like if there's a guy who is interested, who I am obsessed with, I want in. If I don't have a person who I am obsessed with that I want to bring in, there's no way I get in on this because it's not good.
So you want to Rick Renteria, your coach, if you're an AD.
Is that knowing who my coach is before I fire my old one?
No, that Rick Renteria was the manager of the 2014 Cubs, and he wasn't great. Nothing memorable in anything. They get rid of him solely because they know that they can get Joe Madden.
Yes.
Not because, like, it's not like Rick Renteria needed to be kept on or anything, but like they get rid of him solely because of Joe Madden's availability.
Right, but the problem is that
this is
okay. So
but you've got to get that right.
If you think that James Franklin is built to win at your school. If you are convinced 100%, everything that tells you your gut, the data, everything like that, if James Franklin is your guy, then you get in and you get James Franklin. But short of that, the problem with this cycle is, love him, but if Lane Kiffin is far and away the only home run hire in this cycle, it's a shitty cycle. Like, I don't want anything to do with this cycle. I don't want to have to be, rolling the dice the way that most of these programs are going to have to be rolling the dice, especially for the money that it takes to roll that particular dice. Like, some of them had to do it. Oklahoma State with Mike Gundy, not sustainable. But like LSU choosing to get into this, Florida was going to have to. LSU chose to. Like, the chances of them actually hitting in this is, I don't like the odds. The odds are already bad enough with coaches.
The odds are
I don't
bad.
like the odds here.
There's not enough good coaches in college football, right? I tend to think that Lane Kiffin, genuinely, and I didn't think I'd think this way 2 years ago. I definitely didn't think I'd think this 5 years ago or 10 years ago. But genuinely, as it stands right now, if you told me which head coach has not won a national title now, but I had to guess in the next 15 years would have one or multiple national titles, Lane Kiffin to me is the guy with the best odds, and I don't think it's close. Dan Lanning, I guess. Those two. I don't think there's anybody else that I feel that confident in. And so, like, if you know you can get Lane Kiffin, I think you can be a little more ruthless. But you got to get that right, because if you don't end up with Lane Kiffin, and instead you end up with, for lack of a better way to put, with Mike Riley at Nebraska, then that sucks.
My issue is, I don't think that, and I could be completely wrong on this, Lane Kiffin could already have the skeleton of a new contract in place to go to one of these schools. I don't think any of these schools have Lane Kiffin locked. And if that's the case, somebody's coming home disappointed.
Yeah, no, 100%. I do wonder.
Now, granted, here's my hot take: whoever gets Lane Kiffin, the ones that don't, like, have just as much of a chance of, hitting big as because
Florida, of how much of a crapshoot everything is.
If Florida gets Lane Kiffin and LSU has to settle for Summerall, like, I think LSU might be in a better position just on the strength of, like,
Yeah, I guess one of the things I think about at night as I'm trying to sleep, two things. One, since I'm a designer, I think of, like, I solve my design problems while I'm laying in bed trying to sleep. Okay, how can I so I need to do this thing. I need to arrange it in a way with the photo here and the text there. Like, how would I do that? And, like, I do all these things, and then somehow I remember it the next day and I'm able to do it. But anyways, the other thing I think about is, if Lane Kiffin had any job, if they were all open, it's a video game and he can pick any job.
Who would he take?
Who would he take? Because I'd think
love to
there is a
imagine
very,
USC.
very, very good chance that SC is extremely high on that list, to the point where I would wonder if SC is ahead of LSU.
Here's what I know. My sense of Lane Kiffin
is
that USC might be it over LSU, simply because Lane Kiffin feels like the kind of person who's a little bit petty. And, like, there's a petty could go.
But I think he's petty in
ways.
a more likely to come back.
Yes, exactly. Way. Petty. There's petty in that he would never come back to USC because USC. No. But I think he's petty in the sense of, like, I'm going to go back to USC and I'm going to prove to Pat Hayden.
But also, he still loves SC.
Up. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I don't think that Lane Kiffin is a sure hire for anybody, but I will say, if USC if Lane Kiffin was interested in coming back to USC, I would sign me up for him, yesterday.
Yeah. But basically, I think that like SC's chances on Lane, and this is obviously too reductionist, whatever, but like the chances are 100% or 0.
Yeah.
Like not literally, but
yes.
you know what I mean? Like either he absolutely would want to come back and everything, or he absolutely would not. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
it's one or the other.
Yes.
Kind of thing. Where like
USC is either top of his list or not on his list.
I don't think USC is the best job in college football. I think it might be the job that he wants the most in college football. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's kind of like, yeah.
And I'm firmly on the USC's next head coach. Please give me a defense-minded head coach. But I think the Lane Kiffin ride would be funny enough that I'll make an exception.
Yeah. Yeah. Nick in the chat says that, they did him dirty. Yeah, they did. There's no reason in which he should be willing. But I think he could.
Well, Pat Hayden did him dirty, and Pat Hayden's not at USC
He's
anymore.
not at USC. Ed Ogeron has still talked about positive stuff about SC.
Yeah.
Even though Ed Ogeron thinks that he was done extremely dirty, which he wasn't. You know what I mean? Like
Lane Kiffin was done dirty. Ed Orgeron was not.
Yeah.
In my view.
Yeah. Also,
my hot take goes back. If they don't fire Lane Kiffin, then I think USC still goes on to win as many games as they do in that 2013 season, and Lane Kiffin sticks around for several more years, if not is still the head coach of USC. It's been a long time, but you know what I mean. Like
I would argue though, he needed to happen.
He needed to fail and go work for.
He needed to
Nick
fail
Saban.
and build himself up, and his career arc has been really redeeming for him.
Yeah. Brian says Kiffin's daughter attends USC. Is she still at USC or? I know that he had a kid at USC. I don't know if they're still. I think there are.
Because there's one of them that goes to Ole Miss.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's multiple. I'm not up on these things.
If Wikipedia doesn't have information on this, we won't find any of it. But let us see.
Yeah. Mr. P says Coach O was still done dirty. Oh, more so that like I think Coach O can think that he was done dirty. My uncle, who's a staunch UCLA fan, thinks that Coach O was done dirty. I just think what was done to Coach O was way more valid than anything else. Also, like
Coach O was only done dirty because they ended up hiring Clay Helton when they shouldn't have. Like, if USC had been consistent and not hired the interims that they shouldn't have, then it would be perfectly fine. But USC went and hired the interim that they shouldn't have after not hiring the interim that they shouldn't have. So, you know, in that sense, Coach
Mr.
O
P
was
says
done
he was
dirty.
promised the job if he won the game. He didn't win the game. He also didn't win the game.
He didn't win that game. So, don't lose to UCLA if you want the USC job. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I think if you're an interim and to get an interim job, you basically need to be perfect. You need to go beyond.
You certainly can't lose to the rival the way that USC lost that game.
Yeah.
Like it's
Ogeron
not just
and nor Helton did enough to get hired as interims. Neither one did.
Hold on, Presley Kiffin.
I don't think Tim Skipper's
Presley
done enough
Kiffin
at UCLA
is
either.
a freshman at USC. She plays for the volleyball team.
Okay, well there you go.
Wait, she went to Notre Dame? I guess she went to Notre Dame in modern day. I wonder in which order. It sounds like she went to Notre Dame for like a year and then ended up in modern day.
Sure. Speaking of Ogeron, I saw it was a Bomani TikTok where Bomani was like, if I'm LSU, I just right the ship and I just like they need someone who knows LSU again and like just go out and get an Ogeron, even if you say it's only for like 2-3 years, just go out.
No.
Have people's mind broken that much with the Brian Kelly thing?
Yes, their minds are that broken.
And there's people in the comments that are like, yeah, they never should have gotten rid of him. Why'd they get rid of him? He won a national title there. And then you get other people who are like, did you not see what LSU was in 2018, 2020, or 2021? Like, did you not read all the off-the-field stuff and him covering up sexual assault and all that stuff?
LSU fans are just cheered Brian Kelly, who had won 10, 10, and 9 games in his previous 3 seasons at LSU, cheering him getting fired when Ed Orgeron's last 3 years at LSU were
if you
yikes.
want Ed Orgeron just because he's gonna say Tigers,
Yeah.
like you got to reevaluate your stance on winning games and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? I genuinely have become someone who is very anti hiring the alum.
Yes.
Strictly because it never works out. It really doesn't.
I'm
And he didn't go to LSU, but he's the local hero. You know what I mean?
I'm a big don't meet your heroes kind of thing when it comes to hiring coaches. I would prefer this is why I was happy that Liverpool didn't end up hiring Steven Gerrard. Why I was low key not mad that Xabi Alonso didn't take the Liverpool job, because it's I don't want your legacy to get messed up.
You don't want a Xavi at Barcelona situation.
Yes.
Yeah. You don't want a Scott Frost at Nebraska situation.
A Lampard situation.
To be fair, Chelsea fans still love Lampard.
That's true.
He could F up to the end of time and people will still sing Super Frank. So
that's true.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Having a good song makes up for a lot of things. Having a good song makes it much harder to dislike a person.
That's fair. All right. Last email. This is from Mike. Michael and Alicia. On your last episode before the Nebraska game, I could barely hear Badger barking from another room. I could just barely make out a wince on Michael's face. FYI, I occasionally refer to my dog as Georgina Tire Buyer. I love that. Because she is a Trojan fan, see attached photo, and because her stinky dog breath smells like the inside of a tire. Hang in there with your puppy Badger and bark on. Sylvie's dad, Mike in Bellevue, Washington. Alicia, I'm going to vanish for a second, and let's look at Sylvie.
Little Sylvie.
There she is.
I'm going to guess Sylvie's like a Bichon Frise or some variant thereof.
Yeah.
She's very cute with her little USC shirt, jersey, whatever we're calling it.
Yeah, she's a little.
That's
little,
a good
little
dog.
White dog. That's a good dog.
It's
a good dog. Jesse has one of those. No,
Badger had one of those. He is very swiftly grown out of it. Back when we didn't think that Badger was going to be a 65-pound dog.
Yeah. He's Badger. What are you talking about? He's only 40 pounds, right?
Yeah. He's our 40-pound dog.
Only 40 pounds. Yeah. Not a great day from Badger, but he's quiet now, which is good. I thought we were going to be good today.
I thought we were going to be good too.
And Mike, I'm trying not to wince. I really am. I'm trying my best. Every time there's a bark, in my mind, I imagine 8 people turning the pot off with every bark.
Yeah.
10 barks, that's 80 people.
Yep.
That's what I imagine. All right, we've gone 2.5 hours. We should really shut up. So
it is dark as midnight outside already.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's dark. I don't do dark dog walks.
Well, I was gonna say you're gonna have a real fun time taking the dogs out.
No, it's all you. It's dark. I don't do it in the dark. I'm scared of the dark.
Yeah. This is why you got to start taking them out earlier.
Apparently, because
it's pitch black at 5 o'clock.
Time change.
I hate the time change.
All right. We'll be back tomorrow. Literally tomorrow to preview USC and Nebraska. Until then, we will see ya.
So preview USC and Northwestern.
Wrong N.
Yes.
Hey. Northwestern actually is NU.
Northwestern University?
Yes. Nebraska famously not NU.
The University of Nebraska.
Yes. Right. That's right. The N on the Northwestern helmet does not stand for knowledge. I always thought that joke was dumb.
It's silly.
It's a dumb
it
joke.
does make me giggle though.
Yeah. It's a dumb joke. I think that Nebraska fans are so nice and friendly and great. If anything, just tease them about their first name, the Bug Eaters. That's funnier and harmless. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. See ya.
See ya.
See ya.